Where does rationality go wrong?
Where does the rational go wrong? Rationality go wrong. Yeah, it goes wrong when we assume that because it looks rational on paper, that it's correct. It's right. It's unquestionable. And this boils down to the sciences. I use science as a really good example because of the types of science, okay? So you've got mathematics, which is like a really, like it's a rigid science. Then you start going down the path of like physics, yeah, cool, and quantum physics all over the place. Not all over the place, but there's elements of like quantum physics. Like we can't really nail everything down for quantum physics. Then we go into biology, and we still have these questions around how certain things biologically react. I remember listening to a podcast a while ago when someone says a cascade happens, the cytokine cascade is code for we don't know what happens, but it happens. Something happens.
Yeah.
And then you've got psychology, which is another soft science as well. So each science has got, getting softer and softer and softer. So when rationale fails is when you start to apply the same brush stroke that you would to mathematics to something else that's a little bit more nebulous, that we're still iterating. We still don't really know. And then you have people swear by it. This is the rationale. This is the thing. But really, what you're saying is, don't tell me how I'm not allowed to let go. Don't tell me I need to lose control of this, because underneath rationale is irrational. And if you're irrational, you're seen as crazy, unless it's that craziness is channeled into some kind of creative thing, and then you're a genius. So rationale fails where irrationality is discounted as just as important.
Yeah, well, because there's both. There's a duality that's needed there. And I have a question for you. What if one possesses both those traits, where they're creative and irrational, but also extremely rational?
Well, you look at we're both the same, bro. That's with that. You and I are that. We've both got that. Right? We can lose control. We know when we can lose control. We can consciously do it. And we're both geniuses. So there's an element of neuroticism in geniusness and irrationality in geniuses, which allows for daydreaming, right? And fantasy. And without those things, like what's the point of being human if you can't be irrational? So, yeah.
What's the old tale of like the warp and the woof? Like one goes over, one holds the other in place, one or the other. And it's like if you zoom into I think there was like a bit of fabric or something like that. You zoom in one level, it's like it's complete order. It's like everything's all lined up. You zoom in further, it's chaos, order, chaos, order, chaos. Everything exists in one thing. You can't have rationality without irrationality. So I think you have like, and I'm obviously, using using a broad statement, but people, like Sam Harris, who to me appear, right, defining the word appear, I don't know exactly, appear to be someone who is looking for complete rationality in the face of religiosity, right? Like you need to have rationality as a replacement for the religion of, the ambiguous. And that's what saves us. And that irrationality is what destroys us. A lot of people fall for that, myself included. It's like everything has to be rational. Like the conversation I had down at Wollongong with you and you and Cassie, more Cassie, about how, the science and the science of everything. It's like, well, where's there room for the mystical or the mystical? It's like there is no room for it. So
Yeah, I love that, bro. And speaking to Sam Harris, like I do see that there's a level of control that he needs to be a certain way. And it's his brand too. Like now he's built his whole identity around this, and maybe he might do a Neil Strauss and do like a kind of like evolution here, but going from who he was to who he is now. But his whole brand is built on rationale.